What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. I decided this week to move back a little bit from the camera. I don't know. No one said anything like, "Hey, motherfucker, your face too close to the camera." But I figured, let me move back, maybe give people a little bit, a little bit of room to breathe. So I'm here to talk this week about DC's Titans. This one took me a while to get through. Not because of the quality of the show or anything like that, but just because of just the nature of how more things came out that kind of helped push this one back, and I just really never got around to it. I started it when the DC Universe streaming service first came out, and I think I actually watched most of season one. But then, like season two, I think I watched the first episode, and then things just got kind of crazy as far as like all the different types of shows that I'm interested in and that I wanted to watch. So I didn't bother picking it back up until things kind of slowed down a little bit. I thought the first season was pretty interesting. We really haven't had a live action superhero show with that level of violence and profanity, and that always works really well for me. And I always like dark shows too. And I say dark, I mean that both like literally and thematically. I like dark stuff. So I thought the first season was pretty decent. It was something that I was interested in continuing. I thought they built a decent team. I don't have any issues with any of the characters. I think if I remember correctly, there was some controversy regarding Starfire being a black woman, and I think particularly a dark-skinned black woman as well. We can go into a long diatribe about colorism within the black community, but I think that her name escapes me at the moment, but the woman that plays Corey on the show, I think, does a great job. I'm sold on her as Starfire. I think she's pretty good. I think the guy who they cast to play Dick Grayson is great. And when I say great, I don't necessarily mean great as an actor. I mean, he's solid, but great as Dick Grayson. Like, he looks like a Dick Grayson. Like, I don't know. I think he does a great job of playing Dick Grayson, especially once in season two, when he kind of turned into more of a leader as opposed to more of like a pissed off outcast who hates Batman. I think he played a really good Dick Grayson in season two. The young lady they have playing Raven is great. The only thing, Beast Boy, I'm kind of like, I feel like he doesn't get enough time to do his thing. They could do a little bit more with him after these first two seasons. I feel like he's kind of got played a little bit. Their Jason Todd is I don't know what's up with that guy, but I can't tell if what he is doing when he gets upset is what the directors want, or if they just kind of like let it go. But it's very cartoony to me. Like, it's something. It doesn't feel like anyone gets gets angry in that manner naturally. There was an episode there was a moment in season two. I keep saying episode two. There was a moment in season two where he was arguing with a new member of the team who he was building a relationship with, and he said something. Basically, this young girl confessed a secret to him. I don't want to put any spoilers in this video, so I'm not gonna reveal what was said. But this young lady, she expressed something to him that was not good news. She was honest. She opened up about a secret that she had, and he got pissed off. And he says every time he gets mad and he starts ranting, he goes, "Huh?" at the end of every sentence. He said, "So how often you gonna lie to me, huh? Was the whole reason to screw me over, huh?" And then he goes, was fucking me part of the plan, huh? I'm like, this is some ridiculous shit. Like, I'm spitting and shit. Like, I can't really put into words how funny it is to watch this guy get angry. And I don't know if they're like, yeah, give me more of this cartoony anger, or if that's just what he thinks is anger. And they're kind of like, yeah, sure, we'll just roll with that. But otherwise, he's okay. Don't really have too much of a problem with him. They do something, all of them do, that I find tedious, which is a constant. It's almost like you want to force in the profanity to give this idea like, hey, these aren't just kids. These are like teenagers, and they're adults, and they're badasses because they swear. And it's like you can tell when someone is speaking naturally and swearing is just part of how they naturally speak, versus when someone is purposefully interjecting profanity to I don't know, because they think it looks cooler. I don't know, but they overdo it with the profanity, because you can tell there's situations where it just doesn't feel natural. The kid that plays Jason Todd does look like a kid. He looks pretty young. He definitely looks to be about a teenager. He's probably like 20 or something like that, but he looks like a teenager. And hearing him swear up and down, it's like, okay, we get it. This is an adult show. We're not supposed to. It's not called Teen Titans. It's like, we get it, but they go a little bit too hard with that. Season 2 introduced Deathstroke, which is always a great choice. You know, people complain about how every time we get Batman, we got to interject the Joker somehow. Like, oh, let's give us something else. Or, you know, like classic superheroes getting their classic villains all the time. But I think Deathstroke doesn't get even though Deathstroke seems to be almost kind of like the top of the B tier. So it's like, if you're not gonna give somebody Joker, Riddler, Penguin, you know, like the Batman characters that you're kind of accustomed to, if you're not gonna go there, it seems like Deathstroke's kind of like the go-to. And they did a great job. I like this Deathstroke. He didn't get to showcase his talents as much as I would have liked over the course of a 13 episode season. I still think the Deathstroke from Arrow is probably the best iteration of Deathstroke so far, in live action, I should say. But this Deathstroke was really good. They missed the ball by not giving him enough screen time being a badass. And that's going to kind of lead me into my problem with this series overall, and why ultimately it's tough for me to recommend. One of the problems that I had with the Marvel Netflix shows was that they moved at such a slow pace because they just did not have the material to create an exciting 13 episode season. And you see this a lot on Netflix. Like another example was the popular Making a Murderer series. Making a Murderer. Like, really interesting and compelling miniseries, but like 4 episodes too long. Like, that didn't need to be 10 episodes. It could have been about 6, and we could have gotten everything that we needed out of that. But instead, they drew it out to 10. And the Marvel Netflix shows do that big time. I think the first season of Daredevil, I think, was fairly tight for the amount of episodes it had. It still moved at a slow pace, and it still could have been shorter. But for the most part, the season 1 of Daredevil was pretty solid. But Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, all seasons of all of those shows could have probably been about 6-7 episodes, and instead they're all 13, and it drags. And you end up with episodes where you got an hour-long episode, and you're getting uninteresting development that feels shoehorned in to draw out the runtime. Because there will be times I'm watching like, why did I need to see this scene? So as much as I just shit on the pacing on the Marvel Netflix shows, Titans is way worse. I'm like, Titans was once I got probably about halfway through the second season of Titans, I didn't want to finish it. I was just like, you know what? I can read on Wikipedia what happens. I can go watch the last episode, but this is moving at such a slow pace that I don't really have interest in this anymore. Like, they're taking characters on these side quests that ultimately don't really pay off. What is that? Probably some spit from me, from me laughing and spitting, thinking about Jason Todd. What is it? Is fucking me part of the plan, huh? I'm sorry. I'm telling you, guys got to see this shit. If you watch it, I think it's in the last episode or the second to last episode. But yeah, it's such a bad scene. But yeah, Titans is way worse. It moves at a pace that's just like, you did it return? It moves at a pace where it's like, I will watch 2-3 consecutive scenes of about 5 minutes apiece and then go, why did I need to see that? And every now and then it will kind of make sense later, but for the most part, no, I never needed to see these scenes. And it's it's never a bad watch because, like I said, I like the fact that it's a dark show. Like I said, both thematically and literally. I don't. There's hardly ever any scenes that take place in the daytime. I like the characters, and when it's moving well, which is rare, but when it's moving, it's interesting. But like they spent so much time on like introducing new characters, giving new characters an entire episode of backstory, which would normally be good, but the shit is so boring. And it's like, you got to make this interesting. Like there's stuff that they didn't pay off for multiple episodes. Like this could have been, when I look at this season and like the high points of it, the second season of Titans, they could have made a phenomenal 6 or 7 episode season. Absolutely phenomenal. Really interesting stuff. But instead, they made a really boring and plotting second season, which is when you have Deathstroke at your ability to use, and it's a good Deathstroke, and you still find some way to make a whole season boring, you fucked up big time. And this was a good Deathstroke, man, and we barely got to see him be a badass. And that's just sad. Like, you got Deathstroke, man, introduce that motherfucker in episode 1, which they did. Or it might have been episode 2, which is another weird thing about this. Season 2, episode 1 was more so a season 1 finale, which was really, really weird. Because like you watch the season 1, it feels like it ends on a cliffhanger, and then you get the resolution of that cliffhanger in the first episode of season 2, and then you start an entirely different story. And it, like, the end of episode 1 feels like a season finale, which was really weird. But I let that go because I'm like, that's the style they chose to do this with, so whatever, it's fine. But man, that was a boring second season. Not a lot of interesting stuff happening. Even the action scenes were a bit lacking in excitement. A lot of hand-to-hand combat where they made it incredibly obvious that those were not the actors that were actually playing the parts. Like they cast what's his name? From Game of Thrones. Ian something. But the guy that played Jorah Mormont on Game of Thrones, they cast as Bruce Wayne in this. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, he's old as fuck. Yeah, he's not Batman. He's Bruce Wayne. And there's a fight scene between him and Dick Grayson that stylistically it looks kind of cool. It's in a dark room with like blue lighting, which, like I said, this show loves the color blue. Trust me, it's a very this show loves its like cold filters, but with like blue lighting. But Bruce and Dick are both in shadow. And I'm sitting here like, oh, this looks cool, but like, way to take me out of it by really, really letting it hit home that this is not the two actors who play these characters. So, kind of like, weird stuff like that where you get these like action sequences where like they're doing hand-to-hand combat and you can almost tell they're not touching each other. Like at least help me stay in the moment by making it look like these people are actually being hit. Not a lot of cool Deathstroke stuff. And like I said, spending a lot of time on character development, like way more. And I know that's got to be surprising to a lot of you guys because I talk about how I value character development. If you watch my videos on The Expanse, I talk about how this season needed the character development that it's getting right now. But the difference is The Expanse character development is interesting and it's properly paced. On Titans, they have, like I said, they have entire episodes dedicated to introducing a character, but then like they don't give you really a lot of interesting stuff to kind of like keep you engaged. I just feel like this show should have been faster paced. There was a whole lot of shit they could have left on the cutting room floor. And there's a whole lot of shit they could have like just tightened up a little bit. Again, a good 6-7 episode season 2, it's probably remarkable. But at 13, it was a bore, man, and it drug out. So it's a tough recommendation for me. I honestly, I don't really think I can recommend Titans to anyone because for me as a diehard comic book fan and fans of these films and of these TV shows, the bar to impress me is kind of low. Like it's at least it's low relative to the bar to impress me for everything else. Because I'm gonna be inclined to like you if you put Batman in it. Like it just doesn't matter. I'm gonna default to kind of liking what you're doing. But this show, despite having all these interesting characters from the comics, still somehow managed to find a way to bore the shit out of me. So I mean, if it bored me as a fan, then I definitely can't come to you guys who may not be fans of superhero shows. And you might be looking like, okay, well, I'm ready to dip my toe into superhero shows. And then you hear me shitting on WandaVision and and now shitting on this one. This is a tough recommendation. So I wasn't a big fan of Titans. Whether or not I watch a third season is going to rely heavily upon basically when it comes out and what else is going on at that time. It's not something I'm going to prioritize where it's like, oh, Titans drops today, let me watch it. No, it'll be a thing where it kind of depends on what else is out. So a tepid thumbs down on Titans, but I'm sure there's been plenty of things I've recommended so far. So if you're interested in Titans and I kind of just talked you out of it, there's plenty of other videos here to give you ideas for stuff to watch. And we'll be back with a review of The Umbrella Academy, seasons 1 and 2, and the new film, Promising Young Woman. Those are my next two things. I want to do a top 10 TV shows one for 2020. I still have my TV themes project. I have another project in the works that I want to give you guys, and there's probably a thing or two that I either have already reviewed and forgotten about, or that I'm about to be done with. So still a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. All the Fight Talk stuff's done for the time being. So things might slow down. I might actually take a day off from posting videos. We'll see. But until then, rate, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.